Hi, my name's Amanda Wells. I'm a therapeutic counsellor and I specialise in trauma and PTSD. I'm going to do a video today to help you to understand what happens physiologically in your body with anxiety, so why the symptoms and signs happen and present the way they do. The reason that I want to do this is because people often go to the doctors, explain their symptoms, get told that they've got anxiety, but of course the doctor's got very little time, so they never kind of quite manage to find out why it happens in that way. So many people, if they haven't done their own research, can spend years being anxious about being anxious because of the fact that they don't understand the physical symptoms. Of course, if you fear the physical symptoms, it keeps triggering the fight-flight response as well. So, that's something that maintains the anxiety. If you're starting to focus on, I feel dizzy, my heart is beating fast, like, oh no, I don't feel well. And actually that is something that ramps up the fight-flight response. So obviously with everything going on at the moment, there is a low level anxiety in society and energetically. So people might have anxiety now where they've never had it before. And it can feel quite scary and debilitating actually. So I'm going to talk you through the symptoms of anxiety, and then I'll explain why they happen in your body, all right? And then a little bit afterwards then about kind of just the things that you can do to help your mental health. So to begin, everyone has heard of the fight-flight response, where there is actually fight, flight, freeze and collapse. So these are 4 different modes of protection that our brain will go into to essentially they are a protection mechanism and they're there to save us from danger. So in caveman days, obviously, if we had to keep safe from that saber-toothed tiger, that response would either help us to fight back, run away, play dead sometimes. So the freeze response is a little bit like the possum and the fox, play dead. And then as soon as the threat moves away, the body starts to respond again. A little similarly, I suppose, for humans, in that if somebody comes at you with conflict, you kind of feel a little bit frozen, you don't know what to say, you can't get your words out, you're a bit stunned, and then the person walks away and you're like, oh, I really wish I'd have said boom, boom, But essentially, our brain chooses the right response that's the best for our survival in that moment, essentially. So our fight-flight response comes from that limbic part in our brain. So this is our brain here. This is the limbic part of our brain, which is connected to the brainstem. And this is where our fight-flight response comes from. And then our prefrontal cortex here, which is our logic center. What tends to happen when our fight-flight response kicks in is that it kind of moves away from our logic center and it just goes very instinctual. So we have to survive basically, and that's all it's thinking about. So there's a gland called the amygdala in your brain which chooses the best response for your survival, and it releases adrenaline and cortisol. So essentially when you suffer with anxiety, you don't actually need to be in panic attack mode or visibly gasping for breath. You might actually feel calm enough in your body, but your body might be reacting in ways that you don't quite understand. So of course, this release basically sets off a catalogue of reactions in your body. So you might get palpitations. People talk often about that might feel like missing beats. You might also get cold hands and feet. You might get short of breath, actually, or just feel like you can't comfortably take a breath. Or you might start coughing, possibly. Feel like you've got something stuck in your throat, You might be very dizzy. There might be a lot of dizziness, or you feel wobbly, just visual disturbances, pins and needles, heavy limbs, a bit disorientated sometimes. You might have headaches. It will have turned your appetite off. You'd have had poor appetite. Your body generally might feel quite achy and stiff, muscle aches and pains, or weakness, cramps, or being twitchy or restless, You might feel exhausted, drained, just struggling to get your energy back, or not feeling quite with it. Or it might be the opposite, and you could feel like you can't keep still, like you've got to move, you're agitated. And of course if you have a stream of anxiety all day, if you have it and it sticks around for a longer period, then of course this can have an impact actually on your nighttime sleep too. So not being able to get to sleep at night wakefulness, busy dreams, nightmares. So essentially, many of these symptoms happen because of the fact that you're hyperventilating. You know, as far as the palpitations are concerned, you know, your blood is diverted to the brain, the heart, the lungs, the muscles, basically, to be able to work really efficiently to get you away from danger. So your body turns off what it doesn't need, like your digestive system. The capillaries in your blood open to take in more oxygen. Then your heart speeds up to pump the blood around your body quicker, so that your body has the energy to either fight back or to flee. So the palpitations feel like that they can be quite strong, and sometimes they can feel like they're a little bit of a drum in your ear, you know, like it can feel like it's really loud. You might feel chest pains and shortness of breath. You know, our body essentially needs the right level of gases to be able to feel balanced. So your normal rate of breathing is 10 to 15 litres of air per minute. When you're anxious, the right level, it's actually 10 times more than that. So it can be 100 to 150 litres of air per minute. And that's even without you really being in panic attack mode. That's just what's happening in your body. So, of course, what is happening then is that you are then taking in too much oxygen and you're breathing out too much carbon dioxide, which sets your levels. Your body doesn't like it being that way. And so in order to do that, your body cramps the muscles across your chest wall here and around your heart, essentially to slow your breathing down on purpose. So it's kind of going like this to slow that breath down, you know. This can feel like chest pains, like you're going to have a heart attack and like you can't breathe. But essentially, it's your body's doing what it needs to do. You know, it's a protective mechanism, and that's all it's trying to do is level the gases back again. You know, because of the fact that you're hypervigilant to your senses, you can feel that happening in your body very often, and the panic can set in. So it's very common to see people, oh my God, I can't breathe. Oh my God, I can't breathe, you know, and then taking in even more oxygen, which is of course doing the absolute opposite of what the protection mechanism wants, you know, and so it will do that more until your breath slows down, and then it will release. You know, essentially you need to give your body what it wants in that moment and slow down your breathing. It's why breathing techniques work. One of the better, more efficient, I think, from reports back, breathing techniques for particularly around panic attacks is something called 4-7-8 breathing. So that's where you breathe in for 4, you hold for 7, and you breathe out for 8. So essentially you're breathing out like a tiny pinprick of a hole, like really, really, you're not even barely pushing the air back out, because actually 8 is a really long count to breathe out for. There is also something called belly breathing, which would be really useful for you to know, because essentially we only use the top third of our lungs a lot of the time, and actually belly breathing teaches us to use our full lung capacity. I've got both of these videos on both of those breathing techniques on the YouTube channel on Kutch Meditations if you want to take a look at those, but I won't talk any more about those right now. Dizziness. So of course, if you're taking in too much oxygen, that then creates the dizziness. So it can make you feel really disorientated, lightheaded. You might feel like you're going to faint. It really impacts your concentration and your memory, sometimes even making it hard to string a sentence together, to be honest. But it's a very normal reaction to taking in too much oxygen. Another common worry can be around fainting. But essentially, fainting is another of the body's protection mechanisms. Fainting happens if your blood pressure is too low, because then your blood pressure can't pump the blood up to your head, which means that your brain cells in your head will starve of oxygen. So what it does is it floors you so that your head is the same level as your body, so that your blood can be pumped around adequately and that it's not going to cause any damage. But of course, anxiety actually raises your blood pressure rather than lowers. So whilst I'm not saying it can never happen, because sometimes people do faint, I suppose, it might be down to other things, complicating factors. But generally, it's quite uncommon to actually faint when you are anxious. Some people report having the shakes. So essentially, of course, your adrenaline and cortisol is released from your brain. It floods through your body all the way to your fingertips. It can make your hands feel like they're really shaking. It can also just leave you feeling really agitated, like your skin is crawling. But essentially, that adrenaline has been dumped into your body. It goes all of the way to your fingertips, and it's got nowhere to go. It's not being used. It's why exercise is a very good tool for combating anxiety. Use that adrenaline. Shake your hands up and down, run up and down the stairs, put some music on, dance around the kitchen. Move essentially to use the adrenaline quicker than it would be if you were pinning yourself in, really cross with the fact that you were actually shaking. Sometimes people don't know where the panic is going to end. They worry that they're going to go mad but actually when your nerve endings are maximally stimulated, that's normally around, obviously panic attack would be the highest level. Actually, once it reaches that level and once you're in panic attack, it should only last around 10 minutes maybe, or even quicker than that, and come down. Obviously, it can last a little bit. It can last longer than that, but essentially, the only way is down. Really, it might float there for some time, but then it's got to come back down. And essentially, you have to make yourself more comfortable until that happens. You've got to do things that will help you to feel relaxed and help to bring your adrenaline and cortisol levels back down again. People generally lose their appetite with anxiety. So, if you imagine the saber-toothed tiger is gonna chase you, if you actually stopped and had a bit of dinner, you would get a stitch and you would die because you would be eaten by that saber-toothed tiger. Your body doesn't want you to eat, essentially. Dinner is not on the agenda if you are in danger, I'm afraid. So essentially, it sets off this physical reaction in us. Our digestive muscles don't work as efficiently, and it impacts the acid levels in our body. So it can make swallowing food feel really difficult because the enzyme that breaks down food slows down and doesn't work as efficiently. And then you might get a funny feeling in your throat. You might feel like you need to gulp all of the time. You might get a really weird sensation here. Food might feel like it's getting stuck, going down you. And then, of course, it can kick in with, diarrhea, constipation, heartburn, cramps, IBS, wind. It might be very windy. Your body doesn't want you to eat. However, obviously, it's really important to keep your blood sugars, at reasonable levels, because actually low blood sugars really aggravate anxiety. So if you're stressed out, then actually your digestive system is also very stressed out. So things like aloe vera juice, maybe to help with any inflammation and to soothe it. And maybe a good probiotic might help to soothe your digestive tract as well. Sweating profusely. Sweating is a bit of a thing as well. So of course that adrenaline is like it's been flooded in your body, and it's like you're running on the inside. So your body sweats to keep you cool and stop your body from overheating, essentially. Again, very normal reaction. You might get tension headaches and achy muscles in your body. That fight-flight response can find you holding your breath, tensing your muscles, just on edge, So actually, of course, if you can combat that with any kind of body type therapies, so massages, acupuncture, reflexology, any form of self-care like that would be awesome to help your body to desensitize and come back down to earth again. But also tension headaches in the head, because of the fact that we furrow our brow when we're cross and we pull everything forward into the front of our head. Actually, it can be really sore, all over your head. And a lovely little technique is to use a pair of glasses. So you draw a pair of glasses around your eyes. Oh, it stretches out the ocular muscle. Oh, it feels lovely, actually. It feels really nice. And then behind your ears, just like you're wearing a pair of glasses, and just do little circular motions behind your ears there as well. Say if you were to do 10 rounds of that and may do it 5 times, actually you might find that it helps the tension headaches to drizzle away out of your head. It can be a really quick technique to use. Essentially, really, you want to reconnect with your body and mind. So you need to notice what's going on in your body, notice when you're being triggered, catch yourself, because anxiety takes time to build and it takes time to come back down again. So the earlier you catch it on the way up, the better you are. Our busy mind is very important to watch. So if you imagine you are watching a horror movie, I mean, I can't watch horror movies because I'm too sensitive, but if you're watching something that's fast-paced and that movie is up on the television, you're an adult, it's a film, it's make-believe, it's made up, yet your body starts responding, doesn't it? So your heart starts beating fast, you start holding your breath, your muscles go tense, you're waiting for the moment, and then everything... And it's quite exhausting, actually. But essentially, even though we're clever, we're adults, we know that that's not real. Our brain is responding to the stimulus that we are giving it, So it's reacting in that fight-flight way. Your brain knows that it's real, but your body is still reacting. So imagine, actually, it's the same for your negative and critical thoughts. So if we have a lot of negative and critical thoughts, we've got them here. Sometimes we hook onto a thought and then we build an entire story around it, and it might not have happened, or it might not even be possible. Yet, we've created this whole story around it. And what we are essentially doing with all of these negative thoughts, because our brain, again, doesn't know that they're not actually real, is we're feeding our own brains our own little horror story. So, again, your brain is responding to the stimulus that it's being given. So, of course, right now, our minds might be driving us absolutely bonkers. Constantly trying to problem solve. We've got the pandemic going on. There is no answer right now. The worst case scenario and catastrophizing stuff will be going on. The what ifs might be like literally driving us mad. Obviously people have got very, very real worries as well. Money worries, and people are losing people. The threat is out there. It's live, isn't it? And we don't know what this is going to look like. So we don't know how long it's going to last for, and it's really uncomfortable. So our brain is searching for answers. It's very understandably trying to problem solve, and it's really, really exhausting. So because of this, right now, you might find yourself like sleeping loads. So, and still not feeling like you've caught up with yourself. So anxiety is absolutely exhausting. It takes a lot of energy to maintain balance when you're being triggered very often, essentially all of these symptoms are very normal symptoms of anxiety. They're our body's protection mechanism. They're not going to hurt us. Obviously long term, yes, they can cause some damage, but, all of these anxiety symptoms are essentially our body crying out for a little bit of reassurance, and it wants to feel safe again, Now, just 1 minute of stress weakens our immunity system for 5 to 6 hours. The fight-flight response can take 20 minutes to settle from 1 minute. So if you're stressed for a long period of time, it really takes its toll on your nervous system, actually. So the reason, well, for that very reason then, self-care right now is going to be super important. So this is the time to try and create that balance, that inner balance for yourself. Limit your social media access to a short time each day. So if you imagine that adrenaline response that happens every time you watch the news or read a newspaper or see something on social media, or it triggers that response in your brain again, fight, flight, whoosh, through your body. Now, if you're looking at things all the way through the day and actually you're continuously triggering yourself there, and it's really harsh on your body, and again, that's more exhausting. You do need to face the symptoms rather than fearing them. They're a normal physiological reaction for your body to have. Don't push them away, but also allow that space for your feelings, but don't pack your bags and stay there, because it's not gonna do you any good either. You've got to catch yourself when you start feeling the anxiety symptoms in your body. You need to hear it and feel it, notice what's going on for you, and just take some deep breaths. So if you imagine just breathe in through your nose, and then as you breathe out, just let go. Or breathe it out of you, breathe the fear out of you, breathe the anxiety. Ground yourself a lot. Go outside whenever you can, do your physical exercise. Open your windows. Open your windows, shut your eyes. I'm saying shut your eyes and covering my ears. Shut your eyes and listen to the birds. Listen to the bird song out there, Every time a thought comes in, be like, no, thank you. And bring your attention back to the sound. Bring your attention back to the sound. And keep doing that in that really mindful way. Say some affirmations. Remind yourself right now, oh, yes, look, I'm being triggered again. Yes, it's understandable fear, but I can't do anything about it right now. This need for us right now is actually going to be for us to let go. We need to relinquish control and let go of the situation and let go of our anxiety and let go of our feelings and just be with it, be mindful and be present now. Reduce caffeine. I would say that to anybody who suffers with anxiety. It's a stimulant. You'd be doing yourself a really big favour swapping to decaf. People never like that comment when I say it. People love their coffee and stuff, and I know that. But if you suffer with anxiety, don't drink caffeine. Practice good sleep hygiene. Sleep is super important for our tolerance levels, of course. If we feel this is where balance is, and then anxiety puts us here. So it means that, if we're already up here, we've got very little tolerance then, very little threshold to melting down, to having heightened emotions. Our tolerance is much lower. So we've essentially got to bring our bodies right back down to earth, slow them down so that your tolerance levels are much bigger again, I'm a nightmare with no sleep. I'm the grumpiest thing in the universe. I will post a sleep blog link at the bottom of the YouTube channel with some hints and tips on sleep hygiene as well, or I might make another video at some point, but for now, I will crack on with this. Head for some healthy distraction techniques. So doing tasks that bring you joy and make you happy, engage in play and get creative. Write things down. Writing things down is awesome for your brain. Your brain has to really slow down when it's writing things down, so it actually helps it to process. And also, our brain thinks that it's going to forget things, so it will be really anxious and go round and round in your head if you've got a lot of to-dos and things like that to do. If you write them down, your brain says, oh, well, I've put it there, so I can forget that now, and it helps it to let go of it a little bit easier as well. Obviously get out into the garden if you can and connect with nature. Give your day structure. That's going to be really important right now. So yes, there's people who are maybe not working, maybe working from home. Be productive and keep yourself busy, but allot some time for your work, rest and play. We're creatures of habit. We like routine. It can start getting a bit mishmashed where our timings go wrong with our circadian rhythm and with our sleep. So actually still try to keep structure to your day and plans. and focus on the gratitude. Yes, this situation is devastating for many people, but what can we be grateful for in this situation? What can we learn from it? You know, we've been given a chance to change. What will we do with that? You know, I'm seeing some awesome, beautiful moments out there. People, strangers talking to each other, asking each other if they're okay, you know, out walking the dog and stuff like that. People are making eye contact. You know, seeing 8 p.m, everybody standing out on the streets and our neighbours and the camaraderie. You know, there are some beautiful things happening amongst the devastation right now. So if we can focus on the gratitude, then actually, you know, we also need to remember that rather than our brain always going towards the negative thoughts, that actually we can rewire our brain to search for the positive in things also, you know. With all of these techniques, keep trying. You know, let the techniques become a habit in your brain. You know, obviously any meditation, yoga, tai chi, anything relaxing that you do, you know, any new habit that you create, it takes time to embed in your brain. It takes 21 days to embed a new habit, to grow a new neural pathway, to start growing new neural pathways, between 21 and 60 days. So you want to do it often enough when you're not in too bad a place as well, so that when it comes to things being a little bit harsh and you needing to call on your resources, that your brain knows what it's doing. So it says, okay, so when I do this, I relax, you know, and my breathing slows down. For some people, it can happen very quickly and it can take a week. For others, it might take much longer. Right now, I'm offering several free places for trauma therapy sessions to NHS frontline workers. So please share this if you think you know somebody who might benefit from it. Obviously, what they're seeing is devastating. So I would like you, obviously, to thank you. I know this has been 25 minutes. It's a bit of a long time. But thank you for listening to me today. If anybody wants to check out my website, it's amandawellstherapy.co.uk. And I am going to post some more videos on my YouTube channel, which has the breathing techniques on that I spoke about earlier, which is Kutch Meditations, which is CWTCH, Kutch Meditations. I will be posting more, so subscribe if you want notifications when I put more content up. But other than that, I wish you a very peaceful mind and a healthy body. Please look after yourselves.